Welcome everybody. My name is John Duggan. I'm a Vice President in OSG's retail practice here. We want to welcome everybody, and we appreciate you taking the time today to participate in our webinar, How CAVII, which stands for Cognitive Analytics, Value Inference, and Intelligence platform, powered by IBM Watson, is driving a retailer's customer experience transformation. It's going to be a great presentation today, and I guarantee everybody's going to enjoy it. Real quickly, a little bit of housekeeping. Everybody will be muted throughout the duration of the webinar. We're aiming for about a 30-minute presentation today. We want to be cognizant of your time. However, you can ask questions. You can type them in on the side of your screen there. There's a position there. We will take time at the end of the presentation to answer any questions, so please don't hesitate to put questions in, and we can always follow up afterwards for anything that's more in-depth. I will be sending all of you a copy of the presentation deck afterwards, and we definitely look forward to discussing this in more detail if this is of interest for you. Real quickly, those of you who aren't familiar with OSG, we are less than 10 years old, and at that time, we are actually, right now, we have over 100 employees. We have offices throughout the world. We've done over 800 projects in this time frame, and we have a blue chip list of multinationals that we're working with, a sample right here of the companies such as Wawa, United Supermarkets, Jiffy Lube, Red Bull, etc. We have been recognized by our thought leadership and analytics by Harvard Business Review, Forbes, JMR, Chief Marketer. We've also been recognized for 5 years in a row as one of the fastest growing companies in the U.S. One thing I do want to point out is on those 800 projects that we've partnered with our partners with, those have actually led to over $80 billion in incremental revenue to our partners. Now, how are we able to do that, and how have we been able to grow so quickly? Next slide, please. It is because our core focus, our core mission is customer centricity. We really want to help you get to the why that shoppers make certain decisions and behaviors. Now, through our proprietary platforms, we really focus on the behavioral and the cognitive analytics to really uncover those next levels of the decision-making process as it comes to shoppers. And by doing that and partnering with our clients and providing them with the actionable insights, we're able them to really grow through differentiation, through different messaging, positioning, product development. And as I mentioned before, over $80 billion in incremental revenue that we've helped deliver to our partners is showing that we're really putting our money where our mouth is. So what I'd like to do now is introduce our featured speaker today. Gary Eiler is our Executive Vice President and General Manager of our analytics practice here at OSG. He brings over 25 years working for technology leading companies such as GE, Siemens, Compaq, HP. He is a proven entrepreneur. While at GE, he actually was awarded 4 Imagination Breakthrough Awards, which is a very highly prestigious award within the GE to get, very hard to get. He is an expert in product management, SaaS, and big data analytics. And what I'd like to do now is introduce Gary, and he's going to take us through a case study with a retailer. Gary?
Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you wherever you are. Let me jump in right away. So one of the world's best market forward-looking organizations, Gartner, recognizes in the very highly competitive retail world that you come from today that yes, there are many trends out there. There are trends with last mile robotic deliveries, threatening to deliver during the weekends, delivering within the hour, delivering to your house. There is definitely revolutions taking place in retail in terms of making credit cards less needed. Cash definitely looks like it's going away with all the innovation around e-pay and fast pay using blockchain and even more secure technologies like that. But the fundamental reality of the retail space remains that pretty soon everybody is doing everything the same way. So how do you truly differentiate? According to Gartner, the 89% of organizations in the retail space are looking to compete primarily on customer experience. And that is the only true sustainable differentiator. But that being said, what is stunning is they also talk about the fact that 81% of these organizations have actually seen their initiatives fail in the last 3 years. So that's kind of surprising, mysterious for us. So let's try and understand, what do we mean at OSG by customer experience? Really very simple. For those of you who are who've been looking at it from a marketing perspective, nothing new. It's just that we have far more powerful tools today to do this. But customer experience and customer experience management is really the ability to understand a customer's journey. A couple of seconds on a website, becoming aware of a company, searched on Google, became aware of a company, and then the unaided recall becoming familiar, then deciding that they are going to be in consideration, spending a little bit more time on their website or speaking to a salesperson, finally reaching that threshold, a very important threshold called purchase intent, where there is an actual transaction intent behind it, leading to the cathartic moment to decide to purchase a product or a service. Now, whether you're a bricks and mortar store or an e-commerce business, whether you're selling a highly sophisticated product or service, in many ways, the customer has already looked at many, many competitors and choices before they decided to make that big decision to go through that transaction with us. Once they do, in today's world now, there are so many more data points that we are able to capture to understand whether they like it, what the usage patterns look like, are they going to rate us, are they going to tweet about us or Facebook us or put something on YouTube or Yelp and they share. Will they do business with us again, where we come to that next altar, to that very big word, do they trust us? Have we done enough across this journey with them that they now trust us enough to have the repeat customers? And as they do, we earn their loyalty. And that is the precious asset that customer experience is really after. And yes, we are not satisfied with just loyalty. We want vocal advocates, because nothing is more sustainable as an advantage more than a vocal advocate, a customer who's willing to shout from rooftops about you and what you are. So that's really customer experience in a nutshell. Let's jump in. So I'll give you a retail case study. Let's discuss it. Let's make it relevant to you, and then we go forward from there with your questions as you may have it. So now you are, putting myself in your shoes, a national services retailer. You are all over the United States. You've been around for a while, or you're brand new. Either way, if you have a bricks and mortar infrastructure, in this case, they had 2,000 stores nationwide. They have 13, 14, 15 competitors nationwide, and all kinds of promotions and offers and solicitations for customers' business. The situation we addressed here was the concern the client expressed that they were seeing a decline year over year in store revenues. They felt like looking at revenues and SKUs themselves as being rather reactive. They wanted somebody to give them proactive analytics. They wanted somebody who also understood human behavior, because they had spent a lot of time and money just with technology companies, because Lord knows there's enough big data companies out there, but they were specifically looking for behavioral science expertise. So we were blessed. We got lucky because they understood our behavioral science pedigree and all the academics and PhDs that we have inside the company. They gave us the business and the journey of helping understanding their key drivers of customer satisfaction started with OSG. The objectives of the project, as they started with us barely 2 years ago, was fundamentally to understand, what do customers mean when they say they're satisfied? What do customers mean when they say they're dissatisfied? And how do you design and implement a living, breathing customer experience system that is able to monitor and track at scale customer experience? So the definitions include, yes, a lot of mathematical formulas, but the main ones particularly being, what are the drivers of customer satisfaction? What truly engenders loyalty with the customer? And based on these behavioral segmentations, not just demographic or ethnographic or just psychometric, behavioral segmentations powered by behavioral science, how do you segment these customers based on their differing tastes? How do we measure that? And then how do we design and implement a system with dashboards to make sure people are able to see and monitor the customer experience in real time? Not just dashboards, also real-time alerts. Alerts that basically said, we had a success. Let's call it a kudo. So an email can go out or a text can go out. In this case, they decided that they just wanted emails to go out. And basically, there is a lot of kudos emails that goes out, reinforcing to our employees, saying we are doing a good job walking our customers through that journey from barely being available to somebody who's now a customer who's had a transaction with us to somebody who's a trusted advocate. There are unfortunately also some real-time alerts that go out, which are failure points, but failure points are also opportunities for us to learn and adapt and become better at who we are. Of course, the last thing we also had to do for them was also to make sure we gave them regular monthly reports initially, and then weekly reports for those who really wanted that. But the idea was this was a 7 by 24 by 365 living pulsing system that was deployed for them. The initial pilot of the system was really from about 240 stores that we worked with. And then the power of the system obviously was using our Stanford University-based behavioral science engine called ASEMAP. For those of you not familiar with the terminology, let's just call it the world's very best conjoint analysis, trade-off analysis engine that we have used repeatedly with multiple customers worldwide to deliver some of the value that John was talking about a little bit earlier. We are also very proud of our partnership with IBM Watson. Yes, there are many machine learning companies out there delivering lots of libraries of machine learning. For folks like me, we are like kids in the sandbox with a lot of tools at our disposal. So we use the tools that made business sense, and then we deployed those tools, and I'll go into that just a little bit later. And then we went live, and I want to kind of show you a little bit of what we could see. So here is an example of CAVII, now with the retention analytics, and if you will follow my mouse with me, on the top left here, we are basically showing you something very simple, okay, on a scale of 0 to 100, how satisfied are people with you. This could be NPS, even though we are working with many, many customers today who are beginning to acknowledge that Net Promoter Score is no longer a good enough indicator. They are looking for far more granular, actionable intelligence regarding how to manage their customer experience better. And we are working with them to go do that. But not just relying on overall customer experience being good, asking a harder question, would you return? And would you return for the regular service, or would you return for maintenance service? So in this case, just for example, you will see that there is a persistent systemic issue that the customer has to address, which is some of us are used to different vendors and have different issues around relying on companies we choose to for more sophisticated services, like I want to replace the brakes in my car, or the transmission in my car, or change the tires out every 40, 50,000 miles, and I go to different companies to go do that. And boy, this retailer would certainly like for us to go to them for a one-stop shopping experience for all of it. Now, it may be the spare parts that make money, it may be the services that make money, or in any kind of retail business, this could be a fast food chain, it could be just about anything, fashion, but the same issues do come. Will you return for this kind of purchase from us? And then obviously based on algorithms that we design which run in the background that I don't want to get into at this time, we ask and calculate a business metric for them which is very important. What percentage of their customers are at risk today? And oh, by the way, try and segment them by the level of sophistication of the product or the service that the company is offering, because it is not just about the volumes of customers. It has also got a lot to do with the size of the transaction, the specificity, and the complexity of the transaction. So, and then eventually customer experience is nice, marketing folks like it, chief digital officers like it, but the CFO is very quickly going to ask a simple question. So what's in it for me? What does this mean? What is a 1% improvement in customer experience look like? So yes, we integrate with point of sale systems to make sure that we are able to answer that question emphatically in terms of why you want to invest in a system like this. Not only do we integrate to point of sale systems, we also connect to existing social listening systems or CRM systems and work on many other analytical widgets, and I'll get that in the next slide here. The idea being many retail organizations also deploy multiple other customer experience measuring tools, some indigenous from in-house, like a site inspection, folks from corporations going to visit their individual stores. Let's call that an inspection report. Many retailers, and I know you on the phone use this pretty regularly, which is to go get somebody to be a mystery shopper for a garment or a restaurant, and basically have 1, 2, 4 measurements per store per year. So we can pull that in and machine read as well. Tying into the point of sale systems, we are able to measure the SKUs that are selling, the volume of growth, and the growth vectors are really important, and then also understand the margin mix by looking at things like sales growth. The CRM integration really is an exciting one, because in today's world, people come and certainly want to talk to us about, hey, can you take in customer experience measurements from Facebook? Answer is yes. How about Yelp? Yes. Can you do it from Twitter? Yes. How about customers calling in? Definitely. How about customers emailing us? Yes. And yes, there is a very small percentage of customers who even today send in written letters, and yes, we can machine read those too. The other really important piece that is for me to share with you is to be able to build in dynamic benchmarking. How am I doing compared to other stores like me? What can I do better? What can I do less of? What can I do more of? In order to enable that and to give an at-a-glance comparison, we also offer you a drill-down hierarchy for those of you who are large network operators, whether you own them or franchisees own them, it really doesn't matter to us. But if you have a collection of business units or stores or locations where you operate, we try to give you a seamless ability to compare and contrast by using the hierarchy system that is going to give you that view. Now let's jump right into the core of who we are at OSG. We are a behavioral science company. What we are able to do running the sophisticated Stanford algorithm in the background, ASEMAP, is truly unpack and unpeel and understand what does good customer experience mean to you. And what the system is showing you here is, yes, you might focus on, I really want to provide a good price. Yes, customers are price shoppers. All things being equal, we do want to have a good value, a good price transaction, and who doesn't like a good deal? But that being said, that is not the number one. As you can see here, emphatically, we are able to share with our retail customers, what are your customers truly saying? In this example that I'm showing you here, you can clearly see quality and my ability to buy something from someone I trust are the most important metrics. There is no right or wrong answer. Your answer will be uniquely yours, and it will be different from store to store to business to business. There are other metrics like fast service or convenience or the lounge comforts for the millennials who today, no matter where they go, my God, they don't know what to do in a world without internet connectivity, so they need coffee or a soft drink of their kind, and they do need Wi-Fi. So the lounge comfort do matters for some retailers and where they are and the kind of services they offer. But to be able to unpack this and make sure we understand and qualitatively tie the value of investing your hard-earned dollars in providing these kind of capabilities to say, I'm going to invest more in providing lounge comfort this year, or I'm going to make sure I put my employees through the right level of training so they do a better job with their knowledge and trust, winning the customer's hearts and minds. That's an important investment we make. Those kind of decisions and action plans are then driven through CAVII and the ASEMAP engine at work. What is IBM Watson doing here? So this is just an example of one of the services that our company works with IBM Watson on. Yes, you will hear the IBM Watson story from many companies out there, and a tool is a tool. We do think that we are pretty decent carpenters, and we did beat out a couple of other companies who were also talking the IBM Watson story, and the customer is absolutely ecstatic with what we have done. We trained IBM Watson with the business context, working together with our retail partner to make sure it understood what was being said, what it could read, because frankly, folks, the one thing they do is they don't have time for most of the things that they have to do because they're just trying to run the business well. So who's got time to read the verbatims? Nobody's got time to read the verbatims. What we are able to do is machine read them and say, with, for example, in this case, 98% confidence, this is something about unprofessional employees. And then you're able to tie that down to the point of sale system and say, hey, how is this about maybe store number 1681 and invoice number 1582345 transaction took place on 27 December. Here is an action, here is an alert. You're able to call somebody and congratulate them for a job well done, direct from a customer feedback, or you're able to take some corrective action to make sure customer experience improves. This is the natural language classifier algorithm at work. For some of the other customers, we are able to use IBM Watson algorithms, which are basically voice to text. So for example, you can certainly have a discussion by talking into your Siri or your Cortana, depending upon whether you are an Apple user or a Google user, an Android user, or if you're an Amazon user, talk to an Alexa if you wish. But basically, it is then machine converted, and we are able to read the text just as I'm showing you the written text here in this particular screenshot. At the same time, we are also able to run further behavioral cognitive algorithms inside the system using more cognitive capabilities from IBM Watson. So very, very powerful. The solution is scalable. It is working at scale, and the feedback has been very, very powerful to our customers, letting them know that we actually are using text analytics at scale right now to make sure it is tied to the incentives and the bonuses to the employees working to win the customers' hearts and minds every week, every month, every quarter. Moving on to the next page, tying this down to the main vectors, the folks who basically are asking for, so what does this mean? Customer experience is nice, but at the end of the day, how am I doing month over year? Am I growing? How am I doing compared to my market? Am I getting my fair share of business? I know I'm surrounded by competitors. How am I doing compared to stealing customers away from them? Because I know they're working just as hard stealing customers away from me. So it's a competitive marketplace, and then how is the marketplace itself growing, and what does that mean in terms of dollars and cents? So those kind of analytical widgets are certainly available, and typically we find that these are the domain of the power users or the business leaders managing the businesses at an individual unit level. What did this mean? So for this particular retailer, what did this mean? And this is kind of bringing the case study to a head here for you. Certainly top considerations for choice, no matter how right we think we are, it is indeed humbling for all of us to finally understand what our customers perceive as the most important. And this brings us to the core methodology of OSG. Your customers are telling you what is most important are quality, in that order: trust, convenience, value for money, and fast service. So listen well, listen hard, and then we do have to listen to them, because they are telling us, don't rush it, make sure you do a good job, and I want to know I can trust you. Once we understand our customers' expectations better, and this is what OSG does as part of our behavioral science methodology, is understand truly what your customer is telling you, and be able to measure it, predict it, and run all the behavioral algorithms in the background. We can share those with those of you who are mathematically inclined. But basically, once you design the experience based on understanding the customer's expectations, the engagement will come. We can predict an improvement in customer engagement of over 20% for each and every one of our customers that we work with today. In their respective industries, in their domains, and in this case, retail, we certainly are seeing a noticeable difference for our customer today. And I'll get into that in just a minute. Some of the other insights that we found: unlike their grandfathers, today's millennials are far less hands-on when it comes to so much of the technology. While they want to use the technology really well, they're very, very unlikely to open the hood of a car and look underneath it and try and fix something on their own. So therein lies a problem, but therein also lies a huge opportunity, because they are willing to give you a chance to rebrand yourself all over again. And the persistent issues around trust and quality, those are the two main business metrics or KPIs that are truly driving loyalty and returns of customers. Purely from a technical perspective, we are pretty happy with the fact that based on the training concepts that we taught IBM Watson, it is able to recognize those patterns with over 95% accuracy, which is very good. In this case, we trained about 40 concepts for IBM Watson. We also found a couple of really interesting things about customers. If you like your experience, like for example, if you like this webinar, you're probably going to use very few words. But boy, if you don't like what I'm saying right now, you're probably going to give a earful to somebody else or give us some feedback about it. We found the exact same thing. The unhappy customers can be very verbose, and as you saw in the previous page, that does give a fantastic learning opportunity for all of us. This particular customer, just to conclude the case study, is now seeing about a 1.5% improvement right now in their customer experience metric, and this is vectoring towards roughly about a $5 million improvement year over year in revenues for their business. Not a significant return on the investment they made, not an insignificant investment at all. And then finally, from your perspective, if you are considering trying to go down the path of a customer experience journey, or perhaps bolster or reinforce the customer experience journey you have already been on for the last several years or even decades, what do we stand for? We really emphasize the need for understanding the shopper's experience in real time. Start with understanding their expectations first. Individualize and personalize the intervention one shopper at a time. because your brand is a representation, our brand is a representation of the summation of all the shoppers' customer experiences year over year over multiple years. And the brand can very quickly get deteriorated by one bad experience. We also have shown you the ability to capture and analyze verbal and text inputs from shoppers, and my God, are they active today on digital media, on their tablets, on their apps, on their phones, sharing a lot of information with us. It's a shame if we are not able to analyze that and use that to grow our business. The reports and the alerts being provided at the store, a franchise, a regional or national level with the dynamic benchmarking is a very critical one. And in the end, in order to continuously improve, the ability to provide action plans and rapid interventions to allow for improved training and efficient store operations. We stand behind our commitment to our customers to deliver the 20% improvement in their customer experience, and our results have borne out pretty well, not only for us, but of our customers. With that, I'm at the end of this little conversation. I'm open for a few questions. Thank you.
Okay, great, Gary. That was fantastic. Actually, why don't you switch to the final page, so if anybody has any questions, they can follow up with me directly as well. But we have a couple of questions coming in. Okay, the first one here is, all right, okay, how do companies map the customer journey?
Yeah, that's a really good one, John, and I think I touched on it a little earlier. The customer journey has been one that most market folks have been doing for decades. The only question now is, so what's new? It used to be something that folks used to go and basically do primarily through a survey instrument, asking customers to take some time off from whatever they are doing and share that information with us. Today's customer journey is making sure we listen really well to a tremendous amount of information that customers are sharing with us from every move they make on digital media, right from the internet or a Google search all the way down to coming to a company's website, which is a hard-fought victory for marketing dollars, or downloading your app, and then you hope to God that they are using your downloaded app, all the way down to the purchase transaction. So multiple such measurements in the front end of the funnel are really part of the customer journey identification to find what fraction of those who are just surfing are actually going to consider us. And then the second one is to make sure down from the transaction all the way down to a formal measurement instrument at the back end, making sure we are closing that loop with touching their point of sale systems, their CRM systems, and making sure that whatever chatter they're putting out there about us, we are listening to first and foremost, and then making sure they know that we are listening. So that's the journey that CAVII really talks about. That is really the new customer journey definition, if you will, is to be always and constantly be listening on all channels.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, we have another question. So it looks like we have two more. How did you know customers would respond to at different stages of the customer journey?
You know, the humbling answer to that is we don't always know, but when you go back to the predictive model, I would say that if you went in simply by guessing, you wouldn't know. The reason people come to OSG is we specifically start with that very first step, which is, can you actually measure the value of that particular attribute and the relative importance of that attribute? And that is what ASEMAP does, that is what OSG does, is to make sure we understand what is the most important attribute to you, how much more important that attribute is compared to everything else, and how much more incrementally are you going to pay for it, tangibly or intangibly. That measurement step is a critical difference. There is the algorithms behind it that we use very powerfully, and that alone is the way in which we are able to differentiate in the marketplace to say, we really know when they answer that question, and we take the time to make sure we ask that question right. Does that help?
Yes, yes, that's great. Thank you. Okay, we have one last question because we want to wrap up here shortly here. And the question here is, I think you touched on this a little bit, but so the question is, how does this compare or differentiate versus an SAP or an Oracle type of a platform?
Yeah, look, I mean, SAP, Oracle, and I know many of these companies well are extremely good software companies. We don't apologize for our technology at all. In fact, our technology is going to compete with the best of them. But in the end, I think the difference is not just the underlying technology. The difference is making sure you have the necessary behavioral analytics pedigree and the behavioral science training in order to build these systems and analyze the data. Therein lies OSG's bias. It is built on strong academic credentials. Our CEO is a PhD who's been in academia for over 20 years, and we have many PhDs and advanced degrees folks walking around the corridors of the company, specifically with a specialty in behavioral science, behavioral market research, and behavioral analytics. So that is the differentiator we bring to the table, John.
Great, great. Thank you. I want to thank everybody. Looks like we're coming right up on the 30-minute mark here, and we want to be cognizant of your time, but we appreciate everybody joining us today. I will be following up and sending everybody the copy of the presentation deck today. And again, obviously this discussion here was focused on a retailer in the auto space. However, this platform here, we're working with almost any category within the retail space, and we would definitely welcome the opportunity to discuss with you how this platform might be able to benefit you and help you grow your business as well. So I'll be in contact shortly, and we can answer any questions or any follow-up calls at that point. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.